Hello and welcome to this masterclass on Agile estimation and planning. Over the next few episodes, we'll discuss a whole bunch of techniques on Agile estimation, and you'll get to learn how you can take these raw estimates to a plan that you can execute, and how these estimates can then help feed into the adaptive planning process that your team might follow. But first things first, let's focus on the questions that we are trying to answer. So the first question that we're always trying to answer is how big is this problem that we're trying to solve? Once you know how big the problem is, then you're trying to figure out how fast you can go when trying to solve that problem. And the third thing that we always try to get a sense of is how risky is this plan with the size of the estimate and our notion of how fast we can go. And Agile has a few answers in terms of practices to be able to answer these questions. So first things first, you asked how big is it? We try to address it using relative sizing. The second question, how fast can we go? We try to play uh, a game or we go through an activity called the velocity game. And that helps us get a sense of how fast we might be able to go when we're trying to solve this problem. And then last but not the least, there is that question of how risky things are. And for that, we do something that's not necessarily just an agile practice, it's a project management and planning practice, which is we add contingency based on our notion of risk. And so those three practices put together would form the scaffold of agile estimation and planning. Now, speaking of estimates, you've got to remember that these estimates can be an input. We've already discussed that they're an input to the planning process. They're also an input to your sprint plan, which is to revalidate the estimates that you put into the plan and to see if any assumptions have changed. And then last but not the least, they're also an input to any kind of regular status reporting that you will do for your project because, well, you need to give a sense of how many points you've accomplished till now and what's remaining. But remember, all this said, estimates are only an input. They're not the end all and be all of planning. You need to keep reevaluating your plan based on whatever you learn from your estimates at various stages of the project. So that's all we have for this episode. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay tuned.